The golden age of Hollywood. The era of flawless beauty, camera-ready perfection, and stars who looked like they were carved out of marble. But what if I told you that some of the most legendary faces were hiding something right on top of their heads? That iconic hair, the perfect curls, the slicked-back charm, fake, borrowed, glued on. These weren't just vanity pieces, they were survival tools. In an industry that worshipped youth and punished imperfection, wigs became Hollywood's most guarded secret. And what's wild? The stars you'll see on this list fooled the world. Every red carpet, every scene, every photo, built on illusion. But before we peel back the curtain on the 15 biggest wig shockers in old Hollywood, here's a surprise you didn't see coming. Only 0.2% of you watching this are actually subscribed. That means a massive 99.8% of our viewers are missing out on the secrets we reveal every single week. So if you love real Hollywood history, with all the glamour, mystery, and truth they never wanted you to know, hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but helps us keep the legends alive. Now, let's count down the 15 Golden Age stars who were actually bald, but fooled everyone with wigs. You won't believe who's at number 1. Number 15. Danny Kaye. The king of comedy's hidden trick. He danced, he sang, he flipped and flew across the screen like a one-man circus. Danny Kaye was the kind of entertainer who made it all look effortless, with his signature red hair bouncing along for the ride. But here's the twist. That bouncy hair? Yeah, not all of it was his. Behind the slapstick and songs was a secret Danny kept under wraps. His scalp was thinning fast. As early as his 30s, the man who brought the house down in The Court Jester and White Christmas was relying on carefully tailored wigs to keep up his youthful, zany image. According to studio wardrobe logs stored in the Paramount archives, Kaye had multiple toupees custom-built for each film, designed not just to match his bright personality, but to actually withstand his physical comedy. Think, sweat-proof, spin-proof, and stunt-ready. And while he played it off with humor, even joking to Bing Crosby that he needed a stunt scalp for action scenes, Kaye knew the truth. In an era when losing your hair meant losing your career, he turned wigs into performance tools. There's even a rumored blooper reel from The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, where his toupee slightly shifted mid-dance, quickly edited out before the public ever saw it. Kaye kept audiences distracted with his energy, while cinematographers stuck to wide shots and fast cuts to protect the illusion. He wasn't hiding. He was owning the joke without saying a word. And that's the kind of showmanship that made him unforgettable. But while Danny Kaye danced around his secret, the next star masked hers with pure elegance, and nearly no one ever found out. Number 14. Laurence Olivier, the master of disguise, was bald all along. When you think of Laurence Olivier, you think of greatness. Shakespearean gravitas, chiseled charm, the kind of actor who didn't just play kings, he became them. But there's one thing Olivier didn't inherit from royalty: a full head of hair. By his early 40s, Olivier's crown was thinning fast. But instead of shying away, he leaned in, transforming his hair loss into an art form. Behind every Hamlet soliloquy or Richard III battle cry was a meticulously crafted wig, built not just for appearance, but for identity. According to Theatre Journal archives, Olivier personally collaborated with wig makers to design pieces that matched the soul of each role. Long and wild for Othello, tightly curled for Richard III, sleek and noble for Wuthering Heights, every strand had purpose. Every piece was performance. His co-stars, including Vivien Leigh, praised his ability to melt into a role, and his wigs were part of that illusion. In a 1960s BBC interview, Olivier admitted that an actor's mask is sometimes more honest than his face. And in his case, that mask included a toupee perfectly molded to his character's heart. Even cinematographers played along. Lighting setups were carefully designed to soften hairlines, shadows adjusted to hide seams. Olivier didn't just hide his baldness, he turned it into a creative advantage. Because for him, it was never about vanity, it was about transformation. And with or without hair, Olivier remained the kind of actor who commanded every stage he stood on. But while Olivier wore wigs for performance, the next star needed them just to survive the spotlight. Because for her, image meant everything. Number 13, June Harlow, the platinum bombshell who burned her crown. She wasn't just Hollywood's first blonde bombshell, she defined the look. Jean Harlow's icy platinum hair in Platinum Blonde and Dinner at 8 became a national obsession in the 1930s. Women copied it. Men swooned over it. But behind the shimmering glow of her fame, Harlow was hiding a painful secret. Her iconic hair was destroying her scalp. According to vintage beauty columns from Photoplay magazine, Harlow bleached her hair relentlessly, using a harsh mix of ammonia, bleach, and peroxide, sometimes as often as twice a week. The chemicals stripped everything, not just color, but strength. And by her mid-20s, her natural hair was brittle, thinning, and breaking off. By the time she filmed Dinner at 8, studio memos from the MGM archives reveal that custom wigs were quietly brought in. These weren't costume shop wigs. They were handcrafted by Max Factor himself, designed to mimic her natural texture with a shine that looked real under studio lights. Hollywood went into full cover-up mode. Directors chose camera angles to flatter the wig line. Publicists swore her color was natural. Fans never suspected a thing. Off-screen, the toll was real. Harlow rarely spoke about it, but letters from Clark Gable, revealed in a later biography, hinted at her frustration, not just with the hair damage, but with the pressure to remain a living fantasy. Her wigs became part of the illusion. Soft waves in Bombshell, tight curls in Red Dust, each one matching the role, preserving her image, and buying her more time in a system that punished imperfection. Harlow died tragically young at just 26, but her image lived on, immortal, radiant, and untouched by the reality she battled behind the scenes. Her legend was sculpted by peroxide and silence. But the next star? He leaned on something else entirely, a fedora, a smirk, and one invisible hairpiece that fooled the world. Number 12. Humphrey Bogart. The fedora wasn't just for style. Picture it. A shadowy alley, cigarette smoke curling through the air, and that unmistakable voice. Gravelly, cool, unforgettable. Humphrey Bogart wasn't just a movie star. He was a symbol. The trench coat, the fedora, the slicked-back hair. But here's the secret Hollywood never wanted out. That hair. It was often a perfectly placed toupee. Bogart's hairline began to retreat in his early 30s, quietly at first, then noticeably. And in the unforgiving close-ups of films like The Maltese Falcon and Casablanca, every strand mattered. That's where the wig came in. According to studio makeup artist Perk Westmore, a legend in his own right, Bogart had custom toupees crafted to match his hair's texture and sheen, built to survive heat, lighting, and long shooting days. But the real magic wasn't in the hairpiece. It was in the accessories. His fedora became his camouflage. It shaded the hairline, softened the lighting, and became part of his persona. Even in scenes without the hat, camera angles and soft focus were strategically used to keep the illusion intact. Off-screen, Bogart didn't take it too seriously. In her memoir, By Myself, Lauren Bacall recalls him cracking jokes about his rug during poker nights, always delivered with that classic bogey wink. He knew the game. Hollywood sold illusions, and he played the part like a pro. What made Bogart's use of wigs legendary wasn't just the secrecy. It was how seamless it felt. The world never doubted the tough guy, because even when the hair was fake, the attitude was real. But while Bogart masked his truth with hats and wit, the next star carried hers with grace, wrapped in silk, lit like a dream, and hiding something she never wanted the world to see. Number 11. Greta Garbo, the goddess who hid behind the veil. She was the face of mystery, the woman who whispered, "I want to be alone," and vanished from fame at the peak of her powers. Greta Garbo didn't just act in silence, she lived in it. But beneath the aura of untouchable beauty, Garbo carried a secret that only a few ever glimpsed. Her hair, the soft golden waves that made her ethereal, wasn't always her own. By the time she filmed Grand Hotel in 1932, stress, overstyling, and her discomfort with Hollywood's beauty routines had begun to take a toll. Her hair was thinning, and by the late 1930s, Garbo was turning to wigs crafted in secret by MGM's elite stylists. Studio designer Adrian, who worked closely with her, called her hairpieces emotional extensions, not just for beauty, but for shielding vulnerability. Each wig was handmade from fine human hair, shaped to enhance the light on her cheekbones, and designed to blend flawlessly into her myth. But she didn't stop there. Her scarves and turbans, not just fashion, they were armor. She wore them on set, in photos, and during her reclusive years in New York. Publicists called it European elegance, but those in the know understood it was a quiet way to protect her secret. Garbo never addressed it publicly. She didn't need to. She controlled her image with silence, grace, and precision. Even close friends said she avoided mirrors and beauty talk, confiding only in rare letters that the pressure to remain perfect felt unbearable. And when she left Hollywood in 1941, she didn't just walk away from fame, she walked away from the microscope. Her wigs weren't vanity, they were self-preservation. But while Garbo retreated into solitude, the next star used his energy to keep all eyes on him, and not on the clever little secret sitting on top of his head. Number 10. Marlene Dietrich, beauty as an illusion, wigs as art. She wasn't just a star. She was a sculpture in motion. With her arched brows, smoldering gaze, and that platinum blonde crown glowing under studio lights, Marlene Dietrich didn't play characters. She became icons. But like many legends of her era, her most striking feature, her hair, wasn't always her own. Dietrich's natural hair began thinning in her 30s, a result of intense styling, bleach, and the constant pressure to look perfect. By the time she starred in The Blue Angel and Shanghai Express, the woman who lit up the screen was often doing it with handcrafted wigs so precise they looked sculpted to her soul. According to studio archives and a 1960s Vogue interview, Dietrich worked with top Hollywood stylists and German artisans to design wigs that weren't just convincing. They were strategic. Every curl, every wave, every shimmer was calculated. Cinematographer Lee Garms revealed that lighting setups were crafted specifically to make her hairpieces glow, to blend illusion with divinity. She called her beauty a painting, not a photograph. It was a performance, and wigs were part of her palette. In Destry Rides Again, the tousled curls. In Morocco, the sharp bob. In Witness for the Prosecution, the refined polish of an aging diva refusing to dim. Each look was a mask of perfection, hiding what time and stress tried to take. But Dietrich didn't mourn her hair. She owned the illusion. She embraced wigs not to hide who she was, but to control who the world thought she should be. For her, beauty was never about truth. It was about power. But while Dietrich painted herself into myth, The next star's transformation was more fragile. Her beauty weaponized by studios, and her hairline sacrificed to the price of fame. Number 9. Rita Hayworth, the studio's perfect star with a scorched crown. She was the dream. The face that launched 1,000 posters, the woman who made Technicolor blush in Gilda with a single toss of her red hair. But what the world didn't know was that Rita Hayworth's greatest feature was also her greatest burden. Born with dark hair and a low hairline, Rita's transformation into a fiery bombshell wasn't natural. It was engineered by Columbia Pictures. Studio head Harry Cohn demanded she undergo painful electrolysis treatments to raise her forehead and relentless chemical dyeing to give her that iconic red hue. The result? A perfect image and a scalp permanently damaged. By the mid-1940s, just as she hit peak fame in CoverGirl and You Were Never Lovelier, Hayworth was quietly wearing custom wigs made to match the myth she'd become. According to costume designer Gwen Wakeling, each hairpiece was hand-knotted, color-shifted to catch studio lighting, and styled to move like real hair during dance numbers and love scenes. And it worked. On screen, Hayworth glowed. Off-screen? She suffered. Friends later revealed in Rita Hayworth the time, the place that she felt trapped in her image, not just emotionally but physically. The wigs weren't just tools of convenience, they were shields, protecting what the beauty machine had taken from her. Even after her decline from fame, Hayworth continued wearing wigs in public appearances. Not out of vanity, but to reclaim some control over an identity the studio had built and sold. She didn't just act in roles, she lived in one. And behind every wave of auburn perfection was a woman quietly trying to feel whole again. But while Rita's hair was stolen by Hollywood's demands, the next star chose her illusion and shaped it like a sculptor, hiding her secrets in plain sight. Number 8. Vivien Leigh, the Southern belle with a secret beneath the curls. When Gone with the Wind premiered in 1939, Vivien Leigh didn't just play Scarlett O'Hara. She became a symbol of fierce beauty and unshakable grace. Her dark curls framed a face that held the weight of war, heartbreak, and rebellion. But off-screen, Leigh fought battles of her own, ones that left scars the public never saw. Behind that perfect crown of Southern hair was a hidden struggle. In her 30s, Leigh faced serious health issues, bipolar disorder, tuberculosis, and exhaustion from a punishing career. According to Vivien Leigh, a biography by Hugo Vickers, these stresses triggered hair loss that worsened over time. By the time she portrayed Blanche Dubois in A Streetcar Named Desire, 1951, wigs had become an essential part of her life, both on and off camera. Her hairpieces weren't just cosmetic. They were crafted to match her natural chestnut tone, styled with care by designers like Lucinda Ballard to reflect the emotional fragility of the characters she embodied. Soft and romantic for Anna Karenina, brittle and frayed for Streetcar. Her wigs were part of the performance. But privately, Leigh felt exposed. In published letters and memoir collections like Love, Vivien, she admitted that aging under Hollywood's microscope was brutal. The wigs helped her cope, not by restoring beauty, but by allowing her to step into roles without fear of judgment. The studios protected her secret fiercely. MGM's publicity machine never let whispers about her hair reach the press. The world saw Scarlett, never the woman behind her. Her wigs weren't vanity, they were armor. And even as her health declined, she never let the illusion slip. But while Vivien fought to stay whole under the weight of illness, the next legend tackled his secret with swagger, charm, and a little help from his favorite hat. Number 7. Frank Sinatra, the chairman of the board and the wig. He was the voice, the icon, the man who could silence a room with a single note and steal hearts with one crooked smile. Frank Sinatra wasn't just a singer. He was a mood. The tilted fedora, the sharp suits, the slicked-back hair, pure swagger. But what fans didn't know was that Old Blue Eyes was quietly waging war with his hairline, and losing. By the 1950s, Sinatra's once-thick hair had started its retreat. But instead of fading with it, he fought back, not with shame, but with style. According to Sinatra, the life and testimonies from friends like Dean Martin, Frank had a toupee guy on call, at all times. His wigs were no ordinary patches of fake hair. They were tailored, stage-tested, and designed to withstand everything from movie lights to Vegas spotlights. Each one was crafted by Max Factor's Hollywood team. Jet black for From Here to Eternity, salt and pepper for the Manchurian Candidate, and always perfectly shaped to sit beneath his signature hat. And that hat? It did more than complete the look. It concealed the seams, added shadow, and gave Sinatra a reason to control every angle. Makeup artist Charles Schramm once revealed in Variety that Frank had a meticulous routine. Adhesive checks before every show, backups in every dressing room, and total silence on the matter. Even fans who got close never suspected a thing, because while the hair might have been artificial, the confidence? 100% real. He once told a friend, as quoted in Mr. S., "If the hair goes, the mystique follows." But Frank kept both, and proved that a perfectly placed toupee could be just as powerful as a platinum record. But while Sinatra used charm and craft to protect his image, the next star danced around the truth, literally, with wigs that could survive spins, flips, and footwork fit for legends. Number 6. Fred Astaire, the smoothest man on the dance floor and in the wig department. He floated. He glided. He made gravity look like a suggestion. Fred Astaire wasn't just a dancer. He was a one-man orchestra of movement, charm, and unmatched elegance. But while his feet never missed a step, his hairline wasn't quite so graceful. By his early 30s, Astaire's scalp had started to thin, a quiet shift beneath the lights of Top Hat and Swing Time. And while the audience saw slick, flawless hair glistening under the spotlight, behind the scenes, that shine came from a finely crafted toupee. According to choreographer Hermes Pan, as quoted in dance history journals, Astaire relied on custom wigs lightweight enough to survive his intense routines. These weren't standard issue. They had to stick through pirouettes, tap sequences, and dips that defied physics. And they did. His top hats were more than iconic costume pieces. They served as elegant cover, keeping attention focused away from the hairline. Camera work helped too. Directors avoided overhead shots, and studio lighting was softened to protect the illusion. Even Ginger Rogers, his most famous partner, noted in her memoir that Fred would jokingly refer to his dance partner upstairs, meaning the rug. But it was never about fooling people. Astaire didn't wear wigs to deceive. He wore them so nothing distracted from the music, the rhythm, the performance. Because when he moved, it didn't matter what was real or not. What mattered was that it all looked effortless. And that's exactly how Fred wanted it. But while Astaire danced around the spotlight, the next star stood dead center, commanding attention with every scene, all while hiding a crumbling secret under layers of Hollywood perfection. Number 5. Bette Davis, the queen of grit who refused to go down quietly. She didn't bat her lashes. She burned through you with a stare. Bette Davis was never the soft, delicate beauty Hollywood liked to parade. She was tough, commanding, and fiercely independent, both on screen and off. But even Davis, with all her fire, couldn't escape Hollywood's harshest rule. You don't get to age, not without consequences. By the time she reached her 40s, Davis was dealing with significant hair thinning. Years of intense styling, stressful roles, and sheer career pressure took a toll on her once lustrous hair. According to her own autobiography, The Lonely Life, wigs slowly became a necessity, not just for certain roles, but for public appearances. And Davis didn't pretend. She embraced the wigs like she did her roles, boldly, unapologetically, and on her own terms. Costume designer Edith Head once said, "Bette's wigs were like characters themselves. Wild curls for the letter, harsh buns for whatever happened to Baby Jane. Sharp, styled helmets of authority in All About Eve. Each piece amplified the power of her performances, never hiding her, only enhancing the fire. She worked with stylists to make sure the wigs weren't too perfect." Davis wanted edge, realism, and truth in the artifice. And while her fans may not have known the full story, they never needed to. They were too captivated by her presence. In letters revealed after her passing, Davis admitted that she wore wigs not to look younger, but to stay in control of how the world saw her. Because she understood something many stars never grasped. You can lose your hair, but never lose your power. But while Bette Davis fought aging with fire, the next star waged his own battle with swagger, adventure, and wigs that nearly flew off mid-sword fight. Number 4. Errol Flynn, the swashbuckler, whose hair was as fake as his pirate accent. He swung from ropes, he dueled on castle steps, he made danger look dashing in Captain Blood, the Seahawk, and the Adventures of Robin Hood. Errol Flynn wasn't just a movie star, he was the embodiment of reckless charm. But there was one battle he was always losing, the one with his hairline. Flynn began balding in his late 20s, and by his early 30s it was obvious. But Hollywood didn't need obvious, it needed fantasy. So the studio went to work, arming him not just with swords and stunts, but a fleet of expertly crafted toupees. According to Warner Brothers wardrobe logs and Flynn's own letters, his wigs were reinforced with extra adhesive, designed to survive the chaos of stunt work and high-speed horseback chases. One biography even details a moment during the filming of The Seahawk, when a sudden gust of wind nearly blew his wig into the ocean, only saved by a quick-thinking crew member. Flynn played it cool. Always. He joked with Olivia de Havilland on set about getting scalp insurance, and treated the whole thing like just another part of the performance. Because for him, it was. The wigs were rugged, rakish, and made to move. Cinematographers used low angles and shadowy lighting to keep the illusion seamless, while Flynn kept the audience too busy watching his sword to ever question what sat above his brow. His entire persona, pirate, rogue, seducer, depended on that hair. And he wore those toupees like he wore his costumes, with confidence, flair, and zero apologies. But while Flynn hid his hair behind wild adventure, the next star did it with luxurious glamour. And the illusion was so perfect, most fans still don't believe it was ever fake. Number 3. Lana Turner, the blonde bombshell with a studio-built crown. She was the definition of allure, the ultimate femme fatale. In The Postman Always Rings Twice, she didn't just steal the scene, she stole your breath. Lana Turner's blonde curls were legendary, untouchable, iconic. But behind the shine, the gossip, and the red carpet appearances, they weren't always hers. Turner's hair took a beating from Hollywood's beauty machine. According to Lana, the lady, the legend, her relentless bleaching, tight curling, and constant restyling led to significant damage early in her career. By the time she filmed Ziegfeld Girl in 1941, studio stylists were quietly incorporating wigs into her routine. And by the late 40s, they were doing the heavy lifting. Custom made by MGM's top designers, her wigs were sculpted to mirror her public image, voluminous for Green Dolphin Street, sleek and seductive for Cass Timber Lane. Each one matched the look fans expected from the woman dubbed the Sweater Girl. But behind the scenes, the illusion was cracking. In a 1947 photoplay piece, a windy on-set photo caught an awkward hairline, the first hint that something wasn't quite real. Whispers spread, publicists scrambled, and co-star John Garfield once joked, in a private letter, about a passionate scene nearly turning into a wardrobe malfunction. From the scalp up. Turner, ever the professional, laughed it off. She understood what the cameras needed, and she gave it to them. Every single time. Her wigs weren't just vanity, they were protection. In a town that judged women by their reflection, she used artifice to survive, to control the scandal, to stay in the spotlight just a little longer. And in the end, no one cared what was real, because what Lana gave them was far more powerful than truth. She gave them fantasy. But while Lana Turner's beauty was studio-engineered, the next star wielded her illusion with chilling precision, crafting every strand, every shimmer, every shot like a goddess, sculpting her own myth. Number 2. Cary Grant, the king of cool with a crown of illusion. If Hollywood ever created the blueprint for elegance, charm, and masculine perfection, it was Cary Grant. The voice, the suits, the hair, every inch of him looked like it had been poured from a martini glass in North by Northwest. But while fans envied the sharp part and flawless shine of his iconic hairstyle, few ever knew the truth. Cary Grant wore wigs. Grant's hair started thinning in his early 40s, a reality he kept carefully concealed behind the sophistication of tailored toupees. According to Cary Grant, a biography, by the time he filmed His Girl Friday in 1940, he had already begun using discreet hairpieces, so perfectly fitted, they became invisible to the audience and camera alike. Studio logs from RKO and accounts from co-stars confirmed that each wig was customized per role, sleek and debonair for suspicion, slightly tousled for charade, and fuller salt and pepper styles as he aged. But unlike many of his peers, Grant never joked about it. He was private, even obsessive, about maintaining the illusion. Katharine Hepburn once hinted in a 1980s interview that he was meticulous about looking the part, and never appeared on set without his hairpiece precisely in place. Cinematographers were instructed to use soft focus lenses. Publicists made sure no rumors made it to the press, and Grant avoided roles that risked revealing too much, always the gentleman, even in his lighting choices. What makes his story so striking isn't just that he wore wigs, it's that the world never saw past the image. Because Cary Grant understood something that Hollywood rarely admits. Sometimes, the most believable illusion is the one wrapped in quiet confidence. But even Cary Grant couldn't outdo the legend we've saved for last. Because the number 1 spot belongs to a star so revered, so iconic, that the truth about her hair might be the biggest secret Hollywood ever kept. Number 1. Elizabeth Taylor, the queen who ruled in wigs. She was Hollywood royalty. With eyes like violets, a voice like velvet, and a presence that turned cameras into worshippers, Elizabeth Taylor didn't just play queens, she was one. From National Velvet to Cleopatra, her beauty was seen as divine, sculpted, flawless, and forever iconic. But behind that mesmerizing image lay a truth the world never saw. Her crowning glory was often a crown in disguise. By her late 20s, Taylor was already struggling with chronic hair damage, the result of relentless dyeing, teasing, and scorching styling sessions demanded by the studio machine. According to makeup artist Alberto De Rossi and Fox Studio Records, her scalp was so sensitive during Cleopatra that wigs weren't just preferred, they were necessary. And they weren't ordinary wigs. These were masterpieces, crafted by Italian artisans, matched strand by strand to blend with her natural hair, and designed for each scene with obsessive precision. sleek and commanding for royal court appearances, soft and flowing for moments of vulnerability. Taylor wore more than a dozen different wigs in Cleopatra alone, each one a different illusion of power. But the wigs didn't stay on the set. Off-screen, Taylor embraced them with equal commitment. She wore them at galas, on magazine covers, even during interviews, switching styles like armor, each one a new version of the image Hollywood expected her to be. Co-star Richard Burton, in private letters later published after his death, wrote that Liz changed her hair like she changed a mood, flawlessly, without missing a beat. It wasn't vanity, it was survival. Because for a woman whose beauty had become legend, losing her hair meant risking the myth. But here's what made Elizabeth Taylor the true queen. Even beneath the wigs, the makeup, the Hollywood magic, the power was always hers. She controlled the illusion. She protected the image. And in doing so, she turned every hairpiece into something greater, a symbol of endurance in a world that demanded perfection. There you have it, 15 legendary stars, each one a household name, and each one hiding the same secret on the silver screen. They didn't wear wigs because they were weak. They wore them because in the ruthless world of Golden Age Hollywood, a strand out of place could end a career. These stars weren't just actors, they were survivors, masters of illusion. And they taught us something Hollywood rarely admits. Stardom isn't about what's real, it's about what we believe. So tell us, which reveal shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into old Hollywood's best-kept secrets, give us a like, subscribe, and don't miss what's coming next. Until then, stay curious and stay legendary.